Bon Appetit, The Importance of Food by Maya Smith. Food is adequate for love when words are inadequate. Dr. Alan Wolcroft. This is a psychologist who specializes in helping people when they lose loved ones or somebody dear to them. This quote is simply saying that when you don't have the words to say to express your love to somebody, you can always make a dish or something, a plate of food for them to show them how much you care about them and how much they mean to you. My thesis is that although many things define people, food is one of the most important things that helps shape and define us in everyday life. Next, I'll be showing you a video from a renowned food psychologist about the importance of food.
Delicious. Food is pleasurable. Food can make us feel good. Eating nourishing food, making nourishing food, feeding others, celebrating with others. If that's not love, then what is? Of course, it's always a good time to talk about the power of love. From the instant we're born, the infant's experience of food is directly intertwined with being held, touched, hearing mom's soothing voice, feeling her skin, her warmth, and her love. To the as yet developed nervous system of an infant, all of these experiences are included in the nervous system as one event. The infant brain does not distinguish between isolated and specific sensations, meaning the infant doesn't say to itself, oh yes, this is the sound of my mother's voice, and this is the taste of the milk on my tongue, and this is the feeling of love, and this is the warmth of her skin. Again, it's all experienced as one and the same. Food is love. Love is food. Touch is food. Touch is love. And on and on. So to the adult mind, it makes perfect sense that we make the association that food is love. And as we grow older, our nervous system becomes more complex. We have a fascinating way of recreating and evolving this experience of food as love. For many of us, we've been given as children rewards whenever we've done something good or that our parents approve of. Oftentimes, that reward is food. Perhaps your grandparents, your grandmother demonstrated her love by cooking or feeding you, or perhaps it was some other relative or many of them. And maybe even the first time you went out on a date, you eat at a restaurant. It might have even been a romantic setting. Courtship and romance so often occur at the dinner table. Candles, low lighting, music, love is in the air, love is in the food.
That video just starts to demonstrate how powerful food is and how much it impacts our everyday lives in ways we might not have even thought of before. There are four main things that I will be focusing on today. The groundwork of taste and how it works, the psychology of the mind and how it affects what foods you eat and how much of these foods you eat, the culture of a person and how it impacts what foods they feel comfortable with, the background of a person and how it affects the way that they eat and what kinds of foods they eat. First, I need to start off with the groundwork of taste. Taste is derived when a food goes across your tongue. Your tongue has thousands of proteins called taste buds. These taste buds have 5 different senses: sweet, salty, bitter, sour, and umami, the Japanese word that means the sensation of fat on your mouth. Now, these impact what foods a person tends to enjoy more or less based on the amount that they occur on the tongue. A person who lacks a certain taste bud will actually crave more of that food in their everyday life. For instance, if I lacked salt taste buds, then I would actually eat more salty foods in order to make up for this. That is how the taste buds affect what foods you eat and how this affects the patterns of foods that a person tends to eat. Next, I'll be talking about the psychology of food and how this affects what kinds of foods you eat and how much of these foods you actually eat. So, the main reason that humans consume food is in order to survive and to live. And to live, you need to eat foods that help your body perform at its peak. And to do this, you need to eat a lot of nutrients and vitamins and water and things that help make your body function. But the reason that we might not do this all the time is because our brains are kind of telling us something else. The brain actually enjoys when it is stimulated by certain chemicals. Now, these chemicals often aren't the most healthy of foods and therefore don't positively impact your body and the rest of the system of a person. This can be, like, for instance, if a person drinks coffee all the time because they crave caffeine, that coffee is not really helping the rest of their body, but their brain tells them that it's good and that they need to keep doing it. Another way that psychology affects what foods you eat is by the feelings or surroundings a person has while eating a food. Now, let's take something like cake. Cake, as we most probably know, is not the healthiest of foods and does not have that many nutrients in it. But if you eat cake at your best friend's birthday party and you're incredibly happy and you're smiling and surrounded by people you love, then you will actually get all of the nutrients and metabolize all of that cake and get the most positive benefits out of it. But if you eat the cake and you feel guilty, you feel sad about it, and you're not in a positive state of mind, then your body will tell yourself, this isn't good for me, and you won't metabolize it that much. You won't get the most out of it, and it will actually have a lot of negative effects for you. This is one way that the psychology of a brain affects the food you eat. Now, this is a brain teaser I have. So, I want you guys to guess which circle is bigger. Which black circle is bigger? Actually, they're both the same. This is an example of how your brain tricks you into eating more or less of a certain food. If you eat on a larger plate, then you will actually eat a lot more food because your brain tells you to keep eating, even though the rest of your body is saying that it's full. Also, if you eat off of a small plate, your brain will get full quicker. You'll actually feel full quicker because your brain is telling you that it's full, even if you haven't had that much food. Another way that the brain can affect how much food you eat is by the color of the plate. If you're eating spaghetti off of a red plate, then you will actually eat more of that because it matches the color of the plate, while if you eat it on a blue plate, then you'll eat less because you can see how much you're eating. Your brain impacts a lot of things that when it comes to food, including how much you eat and how your body intakes that food. Next, I'm going to be talking about culture and how this affects what foods you eat. Culture, as I'm defining it, is a set of rules and patterns that a group of people follow that is learned and not genetic. Culture can be vast and spread over an entire group of people that have similar traits. It can include things such as your clothes, music, the language you speak, your writing. Pretty much every part of your life is somehow affected by culture. Now, this impacts food because what you grow up with and what you feel comfortable with is probably what you're going to eat more of. And additionally, culture can help bring you closer to your home even when you're miles away. By making a dish that reminds you of your home culture, you can be transported back to your home and your area of comfort even when you're far away. Now, some people might say that you can never truly recreate a dish outside of its home place because you don't have the same ingredients, you don't have the same people, or you don't have the same water sources, you don't have the same spices, you don't have everything the exact same. But I feel like this is not true. A dish is more than just a set of ingredients put together and cooked at a certain temperature. A dish is how you feel while eating it. Making something from your home, even when you're away, can bring you back to this place, even though it might not be the exact same. It's the people, it's how it makes you feel, it's the warmth that you get in your heart when you eat something that reminds you of home. Now, there are many differences in culture that account for the why people live such different lives all over the world. A photographer named Peter Menzel went all over the world and took pictures of a week of food in these different countries. I have 4 examples right here. First, we have USA. The USA's cultures mostly impacts the food by the convenience of the food or how quick it is to eat it. As you can tell from this picture, most of the foods that this family eats is pre-processed, easy to make, or already made for them, like the pizza. This shows how much importance we place on getting things done and how full our plates tend to be, no pun intended. But this strongly impacts the food we eat because it's a lot less home-cooked meals and it's a lot more, how quick can I make this? The next country I have is Chad. This is a country in Africa. The main thing that defines the food culture in Chad is the economic standpoint of the country. Chad is a fairly low economic country, and therefore they do not have access to a lot of variety of food as we saw in the American country. Even though they don't have a lot of food, they still get the most nutrients out of it by eating grains, beans, and the vegetables that they have access to in order to maintain their healthy lifestyle and to stay having a body that works the best. Next, I have a picture of a week of food in Japan. Now, the main thing that separates Japan and its food culture is its largest natural resource and its geography. Japan is an island country, and therefore, they are surrounded by the ocean, and most of their food is a result of this. Their food, a lot of it comes from the sea or is transported by the sea, and this impacts what foods they have more plentifully available to them, and therefore eat the most of. Finally, I have a picture of a family in Ecuador. Now, these people also have a low economic standpoint, but one of the things that makes them very different is the fact that they cherish food in their culture. As you can tell from this picture, they're all smiling and enjoying each other's company. Food is one of the main things that brings this family together, and it actually helps keep them strong even though they don't have a lot of money or a lot of things, unnecessary things to keep them happy with each other. They can always eat a meal together and talk and keep positive even though things might seem a little dim. The next thing that affects what foods a person eats is the background of a person. A person's background is where they grew up or what people they grew up with and what they learned throughout their lives. This can affect what foods they eat because if you see somebody you know eating a certain food, then you'll feel a lot safer eating that food and you'll actually eat a lot more of that food than if you'd never seen anybody eating this. This also happens with a pregnant mother. That child will actually eat a lot of the foods that the mother craved while they were pregnant. Additionally, the background of a person affects what foods they eat by what they grew up with. The pattern of what a person consumes tends to not change that much throughout their life. They get comfortable and then they stay with this pattern, and this helps to determine what foods they feel comfortable eating and what foods they eat on a regular basis. This affects all aspects of their food culture, and therefore it affects how much of the certain food they eat and why. Next, I will be talking about my outreach project. As part of our big board presentation, we had to do an outreach that included multiple parts of our project and took them into real life and helped real people. I did this by doing a cultural awareness potluck. At my potluck, I asked people to bring foods that represented their distinct culture and background and share it with others and explain when they eat it and why and what it means to them. I feel that this was a very positive thing for the C-Home environment because it brought a lot of different people together in an environment that they probably would not have previously been in. As you can see from my pictures, there's a variety of foods and a variety of people there, and they all got together and over food and bonded over a period of time. I feel that this was a very positive thing because through a simple catalyst of food, it brought together people from the Middle East, Europe, South America, and from here in the United States, all in one room, all talking about important things. We even went on a tangent about how a girl who had just moved to C-Home had her journey from Jordan. She started living in Jordan and then moved here to America, and as you can probably guess, it was tough to kind of the culture shock of coming to America. But even though it was still a transitioning period for her, she still proudly brought in her Jordan food and showed it off to everybody and invited them to eat some because food was one of the things that brought us all together, and it helped create bonds that would not have previously been there. Although many things define people, food is one of the most powerful things that define us in our everyday lives. Thank you.